The story of the Airbus A321, which exploded around 8 years ago at an altitude of several kilometers approximately 8 years ago, is based on official accident reports and eyewitness accounts. The date October 31, 2015. Sharm el-Sheikh Airport. Sharm el-Sheikh, a popular tourist destination in Egypt. In the early hours of the morning, specifically at 5 o'clock, a Metrojet Airlines plane was being prepared for takeoff from Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The plane was scheduled to travel to St. Petersburg, Russia, with layovers in Cyprus, Turkey, and Ukraine. Due to its coastal location on the Red Sea and favorable weather conditions throughout the year, the city attracted numerous tourists. This holiday destination attracted a large number of tourists from Russia and Europe who were looking for affordable vacations and opportunities for diving. The flight in question was specifically arranged as a charter flight solely for tourism purposes. The tourist agency had arranged a flight to be carried out by an 18-year-old Airbus A321. The A321 can be described as a longer version of the Airbus A320 model. This aircraft, which was put into service in 1997, has served under various airlines. The aircraft had completed approximately 21,000 flights, accumulated a total of 56,000 flight hours. During this period, the plane had a noteworthy event when it experienced a serious tail strike while landing in Cairo, the capital of Egypt, in 2001. A tail strike is a critical aviation incident where the tail of an aircraft makes contact with the runway during takeoff or landing, potentially resulting in severe damage. Despite experiencing a tail strike, this Airbus A321 continued its service for another 14 years after undergoing extensive maintenance and repairs. Regarding the flight crew in the cockpit, Captain Valerie was in command of Flight 9268. He has more than 12,000 hours of flight experience, with approximately 3,800 hours specifically on this type of aircraft. Seated in the right seat was the co-pilot, Sergey, who had a military background. A total of 224 individuals, including 217 passengers and 7 flight crew members, had boarded the aircraft. The pilots requested a pushback and initiated taxiing towards the beginning of runway 04. The airplane had reached its full passenger capacity, with the majority of the passengers being Russian tourists on vacation. After completing the taxi, the pilots positioned the aircraft on runway 04. After finalizing the necessary pre-takeoff checks, they powered up both engines of the Airbus A321, widely recognized as one of the most dependable aircraft worldwide. Accelerating down the runway, the aircraft rapidly reached the required takeoff speed and lifted its nose, allowing the wheels to leave the ground. At 5:50, they smoothly and typically took off. Everything appeared to be normal. The estimated duration of the planned route was approximately 4 hours and 40 minutes, indicating the expected time of arrival. During the ascent to their cruising altitude of 31,000 feet, the pilots were getting ready to communicate with the Nicosia controller, whom they would soon be in contact with. The seatbelt warning lights for the passengers were switched off, and everyone settled into a comfortable position. The pilots were unaware of the impending disaster as they approached their target altitude of 31,000 feet. Suddenly, at 30,800 feet, a loud noise disrupted their flight. Shortly after, the aircraft experienced an explosive decompression, resulting in an uncontrollable dive. The air traffic controller, who was tracking the Airbus A321 with flight number 9268 on radar, observed the rapid descent to 30,000, 29,000, and 28,000 feet without receiving any instructions. Filled with fear and panic, the controller urgently attempted to establish communication with the pilots, but received no response. Within moments, the aircraft disappeared from radar. Tragically, the Airbus A321, carrying 224 individuals, crashed into the Sinai Desert. Only fragments of debris were left behind in the scorching Sinai Desert from the massive plane. Flight 9268 crashed just 23 minutes after takeoff, causing a global sensation. Air travel is generally considered the safest mode of transportation, with lower accident risks compared to driving. The accident raised curiosity about what could have caused such a secure plane to meet such a tragic fate. When the rescue teams reached the scene, it was clear that there were no survivors. European, Russian, and Egyptian teams promptly arrived to investigate the accident. The wreckage was scattered over a 20 square kilometer area, providing important clues about the cause of the crash. The significant 5-kilometer distance between the tail and the main debris indicated that the plane had broken apart in the air before crashing. Relatives of the Russian passengers were seeking answers from the company and investigators regarding the accident's cause. The accident, happening in 2015 when aviation was highly advanced, raised questions for everyone. Let's take a quick break. We've put a lot of effort into this video, so if you find it informative, please remember to subscribe and like. Your support allows us to create more content for you. The co-pilot's wife's statement about the pilot discussing technical issues before the flight raised concerns about a potential technical malfunction. The plane's history of a tail strike incident further fueled speculation about a similar malfunction. After the black boxes containing the aircraft's data were recovered, it was discovered that there were no indications of a technical malfunction, but control of the plane was lost. The maintenance team confirmed that routine maintenance had been performed half an hour before takeoff, and there were no reported issues with the aircraft. As the investigation progressed, a terrorist group known for its active actions at that time published an article claiming responsibility for the attack. With the absence of a technical malfunction according to the black box data, attention shifted towards this group. Although initial speculation centered around the possibility of a missile attack, it was determined that the range of the group's ground-fired missiles would not reach the altitude of the aircraft. The question remained, how did they execute this attack? In the final moments of the cockpit voice recorder's recording, researchers detected the sound of an explosion. They observed that the shock wave and sound wave from the explosion reached the cockpit voice recorder at different speeds. Utilizing this small speed difference, researchers were able to calculate the location of the crash on the plane. As the debris was reconstructed like a puzzle, it became evident that there was an internal explosion on the aircraft. Further investigation revealed the presence of an explosive device, either in a passenger's hand luggage or in the cargo compartment. The passenger profiles were thoroughly examined, but no suspicious connections to the incident were found. The investigation confirmed that the explosion originated from the cargo compartment, ruling out any involvement of the passenger's hand luggage. After investigating the ground handling crew, it was discovered that a crew member had been deceived into placing an explosive device inside a beverage can in the plane's luggage compartment. The officer in charge of luggage placement caused the loss of 224 lives through this action. The officer successfully passed through security checks by concealing the mechanism within the beverage can. Following the accident, the Egyptian employee responsible was apprehended, confirming that they acted alone. The accident prompted important changes in personnel selection and the introduction of long-term employee testing. Trust in the company and Egypt suffered a significant decline, resulting in a decrease in both passenger numbers and tourist visits. The Egyptian president suggested the accident was intended to disrupt the warm relations between Russia and Egypt. As a consequence, Metrojet filed for bankruptcy in March 2016 due to its vulnerabilities being exposed. In remembrance of the 224 individuals who tragically lost their lives in the Flight 9268 disaster.